Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. Today, we're going to be doing the Koa'ki Meiru deck profile, a very interesting deck, and a deck that I would love to play over and over again. Obviously, there's still a lot of playtesting in it because there's only 3 games that you can check out in the playlist below. And it was a really fun deck to play at locals just to get some more playtesting in, but let's definitely get down to the deck profile. 3 copies of Koa'ki Meiru YuGiOh. This is the main engine of the deck. This is going to search out all of your Koa'ki Meiru monsters. It's going to be the biggest reason why you go into Tiger King. If all else fails, it's a 2000 beater, being able to get over almost any level 4 monster in the game. 3 copies of Koa'ki Meiru Crusader, This card is YuGiOh's partner in crime. This is the typical monster you want to summon with YuGiOh. If he ever gets over one of your opponent's monsters, you get to add a Koa'ki Meiru card from your graveyard to your hand. It becomes really handy when you want to get your diamond cores back, when you want to get YuGiOh's back, whenever you want to get stuff back. It's not really a horrible draw, but drawing multiples in first turn means that this is almost dead. But that's more than fine because we'll find a way to make the game more live. Sorry, I was running. 2 copies of Fire Fist Bear. Since we already run 6 Beast Warriors, and 3 of those Beast Warriors are extremely important to get into our hand, we run Tinky, and to mitigate having ticking on the field, we run Fire Fist Bear. Bear is going to get rid of opposing monster threats, do exactly what bears have to do, and sometimes even fetch us fire formation cards. 1 copy of Gorilla. Same reason why we run Bear, except it gets rid of back row, and it gets over monsters. Code Soldier Wolf Park. Now, these 2 cards actually, I was running Koa'ki Meiru Draco instead in the main board because the artifact matchup is an instant victory. There's so many light and dark decks, but if your locals isn't filled with artifacts, trap tricks hands or whatever, Koa'ki Meiru Draco might not be the perfect thing, especially since it does have a couple of limitations on the card, you know, being having to discard a Koa'ki Meiru card from your hand, or having to reveal the other Drago, which is not as easy to search as the other cards in this deck. But Gorilla and Wolf Bark definitely do get some work in against regular rogue stuff, and they're pretty decent cards. I'm not a huge fan of Wolf Bark because sometimes I'll get it and it's just like, I can't use it. It'll be like the first card. Opening up with Wolf Bark is probably like the worst thing in this deck to open up with. 1 copy of Koa'ki Meiru Tornado. Tornado serves multiple purposes. First of all, Tornado gets rid of all of your opponent's special summon monsters just by putting Koa'ki Meiru back to the top of your deck, even though I wish it was to the graveyard because that would have been just so much better. Secondly, Tornado serves as a second means to special summon a Koa'ki Meiru monster from your deck, whereas YuGiOh would only be able to special summon Crusaders. If I already draw my Crusaders or my Crusaders are dead or for some reason I can't get out my Crusaders, I'll bring out Tornado instead and go into an Exceed play. It's a pretty good card if all else fails, and like I said, getting rid of all your opponent's special summon monsters just by putting Koa'ki Meiru Iron Core back to the top of your deck is amazing. 3 copies of Tour Guide. I've been debating on dropping Tour Guide to 2, but so far we're going to be playing 3 because that Tour Guide combo is just too good to give up. You go Tour Guide to Tour Guide, going to Invoker, Invoker special summon YuGiOh, YuGiOh reveal Diamond Core, you set up with a Tiger King to get Tinky. So basically off of Tour Guide, you special summoned an Invoker, you got a Tiger King and a Tinky back to your hand. I can't ignore those type of pluses, and I really want to get it first turn, so that's why I'm running 3. Like I said, I might drop it down to 2 just because the combo, it's a really good combo, but it's like, I'd probably rather have some other cards in there, but Tour Guide is still an amazing card in here. Last is 1 copy of Koa'ki Meiru Doom. If it's the requirements of being a Tour Guide target, it's special summoned by YuGiOh. I think it has the best synergy out of all the level 3 fiends that you could special summon with Tour Guide, and it's just a pretty good card, being able to negate all monsters' effects in main phase 1. We can discard Iron Cores because we run so many, so it's like whatever when running this card. Next, that's pretty much it for monsters. I think I'm running 15 or 14. Pretty low monster base. You don't really need anything else, in my opinion. Next is 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. I'm dropping this down to 2, possibly even 1, just because of Trap Tricks Artifact hands. If I do start to see more, like I said, I would drop the Wolf Bark and Gorilla, main deck Dracos, probably drop the Typhoon down to 1, run more back row or something like that. But Mystical Space Typhoon is still a really good card. 3 copies of Iron Core to Koa'ki Meiru. A lot of people run 2, and I perfectly am fine with that. But I was running Koa'ki Meiru Draco, and since I was running so many Koa'ki Meiru cards, Iron Core became a necessity to have at first turn. It was almost mandatory. Now, since I am running Gorilla, I'd probably drop this for a YuGiOh, drop it down to 2. Since I'm running the Wolfbark and Gorilla stuff, but I still strongly like the Drago and main board, so I might just switch it up after I do the deck profile, put back in the Dragos, and then take out the Wolfbark and Gorilla, keep in the 3 Iron Cores, because that would win games. You need this card to go off. You basically need this card to play YuGiOh with this deck, and I try to get it as fast as possible. 3 copies of Tenki. That's pretty obvious. You need to search your Beast Warriors, your Gorilla, your Wolfbark, which, like I said, it's iffy. But most importantly, your Bears and your Urnites. There were times where I actually did search Crusader, because Crusader recruited a Diamond Core from my graveyard back to my hand. So Tenki is just a really strong card in there. 3 copies of Diamond Core of Koa'ki Meiru. What a lot of people don't understand is that the ruling behind Diamond Core is that you can banish it, as opposed to revealing a Beast Warrior or whatever your Koa'ki Meiru requires, or discarding Diamond Core. Just choose to destroy the monster, and Diamond Core itself will protect it. Also, you can banish it to prevent from Bottomless and just all that stupid stuff. A lot of people don't see it. You go banish, and then you'll summon it like Bottomless, and you're like, okay, and you continue on with the plays. Then they'll finally read this card and realize how broken it is. You know, not beside being a Rota that you can activate as many times as you want because it has no restrictions. Really good card. 1 copy of Fire Formation Tentu. We run enough Beast Warriors. Double Summon is amazing. And then that 1 copy of YuGiOh, just back row disruption, really good card. For traps, 2 copies of Blackhorn. I hate Exceeds. I hate when my opponent does it on me. I hate when my opponent synchros. Don't like that. 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill. Artifact Trap Tricks Hands, just extremely versatile card, gets over continuous cards. 2 copies of Fiendish Chain, because I like I said, I feel effect negation is very important, and I really want to start running 2 types of effect negation, maybe 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill or 3 copies of Breakthrough Skill and 2 effect pillars in all of my decks, because I just feel that it's that important to win games, especially now since we have all these effect monsters running around that just screw you over. Fiendish Chain is just a really good complement to Breakthrough Skill, because there's times where you want to stop the opponent from attacking and just stop certain effects. Breakthrough Skill has its perfect qualities of being baited by MST. 2 Deprison. Deprison's amazing. It's superior to Mirror Force. Solemn Warning, Compulse, Bottomless, and Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, just because this card has, like, I've always said that this card was good. Even before the price jump and everything, this card has always been amazing in my opinion. Getting rid of a lot of Synchro and XC threats. I really like this card. And actually, it's good against artifacts too, so that's another thing. Now on to the extra deck. 2 Tiger King. Obvious. This is the play that we set up with first turn if we can. Amazing card. Wine Diagusto Emerald. When we go through our Urnites, or if we draw our Urnites, we put them in the graveyard. We go Emerald. We put basically our whole deck back into all our cards back into our deck, and we start the combos over again. Really good card. Mandatory in there. Ragnar Zero, Fire Fist matchup, anything that increases or decreases, and plus the draw is extremely nice. Exiton, blow up the whole field. 101, obvious. Best XC in the game. Got Cowboy, obvious. 1 copy of Dweller. I want to run 2. If I were to run 2, I'd drop the Invoker. I'd probably drop 2 Tour Guide as well. Run just some different things, and then bring Dweller up to 2 just because Dweller's that good. Maestro, really good card. Black Ship of Corn. This is amazing. I don't know why I ever doubted this card. This card is just nothing less of amazing. One of our biggest problems with this deck is the Bujin matchup. And Black Ship of Corn just says, no. No Bujins. No. And basically gets over them and lets us do whatever we want. Diamond Direwolf. Just great. Now for Exceeds. 2 copies of Invoker. And 1 Allure card. I think that's 14 because I'm pretty sure I was playing Angenair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's 14. I know I'm running 1 copy of Angenair, but since I don't feel like looking for Angenair, or, you know, I don't really know exactly where I put it, I'm just going to say Zenmaines. This would be Angenair. Angenair is amazing. You set up with Angenair first, like, you know, if you can't go in your Invoker combo, and Alucard is obviously would be useless if you're going first. You set up with your Angenair, your next turn play is practically safe, no matter if you have Diamond Core or not. Just a really good card. Next on for the sideboard, 1 copy of Fossil-Dino Pachycephalo, Mermails, Artifacts, any deck that loves the special summon, you can always set it and let the opponent run into it, blow up their whole field. Really good card. 2 copies of Koa'ki Meiru Drago. If you're not main boarding them, I strongly suggest you sideboarding them, just because you summon Koa'ki Meiru Dragon against Artifacts and they're just like, huh? It almost has that same thing of Fossil Dino, Pachycephalo. You do it against dark decks like Chaos Dragons, they're like, I don't know. And you basically win the game from them just because they can't bring out their monsters. Also has a really good attack score. Thunder King Rhino wins games. Dark Hole. Defy doesn't affect us. Typhoon for the third one. Light Imprisoning Mirror. So many applications I could put this to. Fusions, Artifacts, Light Sworn, whatever. Light decks, period. Macro, because like as you guys can see, I'm siding so much against these graveyard reliant decks. So Artifacts, Fusions, and all of them are really going to get it. Soul Drain, like I said, they're going to get it. 2 copies of Debunk, like I said, they're still going to get it. When you want to side against a deck that you feel that is your horrible matchup and that it can hit so many other decks, i.e. Bujin, I feel is the worst matchup we can have. All the other matchups are not that hard, but when I feel like that's our worst matchup and I can side for it completely and still have other cards for it, of course I'm going to side for it. Debunk, Macro, Soul Drain, Light Imprisoning Mirrors, that should be more than enough. And when I mean more than enough, that should be more than enough to handle them Game 2 and Game 3. Next is 2 copies of Death Tornado. I noticed that I didn't have back row disruption, and yeah, that would be important in some of the matchups. But that is practically the Koa'ki Meiru deck profile. Thank you guys for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.